Independent retail business can mean so many things these days. A brick and mortar store, an e-commerce business, a maker's online shop, a booth at an antique mall, and more. No matter which category you're in, Kathy Cruz, a fellow retail business owner and retail educator, will teach you how to market and manage your business efficiently so you can spend time doing other things you love. Welcome to the Savvy Shopkeeper Podcast.
Welcome to episode 18 of the Savvy Shopkeeper Retail Podcast, my favorite retail and business podcasts. I'm your host, Kathy Cruz. Well, my intention for this episode is pretty simple. I just want to share some other great retail and business podcasts with you. In a world filled with experts and podcasts, resources, all that stuff, I understand that I will not be everyone's go-to resource or everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone will love me and my style, and what I've learned through building Savvy Shopkeeper is that we all have our own preferences. While one person might prefer someone who speaks slower or who has a kinder and gentler approach, others might thrive by learning from someone who has a more fast-talking or in-your-face approach. I get it, we're all different. Before I share my list, I want to start off with a shopkeeper shout-out. Now, I sometimes struggle with names. I feel like I'm pretty good with names, but if I mess this up, I apologize. I think it's Ohas Akolka. She's the owner of House of Tribal Fare in Clawson, Michigan. And if I get that wrong, please let me know. And please know I'm sorry. I'll link her store in the show notes. It's tribalfare.net. Tribalfare.net. And it's a pretty cool website. I love the branding. So Ohas's 5-star review is titled, "Grab a pen and paper, take notes." She says, Kathy is really invested in sharing her experiences and knowledge through this podcast. Love how simply she breaks down concepts and formulas for easy understanding. So patient, too. Her passion and commitment to serving is evident through her free resources listed on the website and blog. She's also quick to answer a question and is really invested in the success of her group. Glad I found your group on Facebook first. Congrats on the podcast. Can't wait for the next episode. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm so happy to have you in Savvy Shopkeepers too. I love having you in the group. Okay, so let's get started on episode 18. In episode 17, I talked about community over competition. Part of embracing that movement means embracing an abundant mentality. And if you listen or read about self-development or business development, I'm sure you've heard of this concept or mindset. Having an abundant mindset has always been a struggle for me. Being raised by a single mom who spoke little English when she moved to the United States, she struggled with illness, she had a rare disease that kept her from working. That meant that we had to rely on public assistance. It was welfare, food stamps, blocks of cheese, and food from food banks. That was us, and it was hard. The abundance mindset comes from understanding there's plenty in the world. Plenty of money, plenty of love, plenty of time. And I was definitely loved, but I never felt like there was enough money. And I still struggle with this, even though my life is abundant. It's so weird. But if you experience the same thing, I just want you to know that I understand. We all have different money thoughts and mindsets. Yours could be the complete opposite. As Savvy Shopkeeper grew in 2019, I could have easily panicked and continued on the path of feeling that there isn't enough for everyone, which would mean I would fight against embracing my online, and I'll say quote unquote, competitors. But other people who also teach and educate retail business owners or who teach and educate business owners in general. But then this would mean that I wouldn't purchase tickets to conferences hosted by these quote unquote competitors. It means I wouldn't give away those tickets. It means that people in my community would hurt and wouldn't be able to learn and grow from it. It means I wouldn't point my audience to other helpful resources, again, provided by these quote unquote competitors. And I'm saying quote unquote, competitors because it seems weird for me to refer to them that way. But when you're in business, it's competition. Anyhow, I'm just mentioning all of this because if I didn't do all of those things in 2019, if I didn't share those resources, if I didn't give those tickets away, it would just feel wrong. So I spent a bit of time in 2019 working on my mindset, and I continue to work on this. And it's a struggle. And if all of you run a business, and all of you probably, it could be imposter syndrome, it could be the money thing, who knows what it is. It really is a struggle to have a healthy and manageable mindset when you're running a business. But instead of choosing scarcity, I am working on choosing abundance. And this means embracing and supporting other experts in my field. So in 2019, we purchased and gave away a ticket to Whiz-Bang Retail Success Summit. That was in Michigan. I linked to helpful articles written by other companies or experts in the retail field. We purchased and gave away a ticket to Christy Wright's Business Boutique Conference. And just last month, I participated in and I contributed prizes to an amazing giveaway for fashion boutique owners. And that was a collaboration with lots of businesses in the retail space. And wait until you hear what we as a community will be giving away in 2020. So all that to say, I'm here today to share some of the retail and business podcasts and experts who I think could be helpful to you too. So let's get started. Okay, the first one is Being Boss. And this one isn't specifically for retail businesses. I think it's more for online service-based businesses or creatives. But Being Boss is hosted by Kathleen Shannon and Emily Thompson. I'll be honest, this was the podcast that showed me what was possible for Savvy Shopkeeper. Although I listened intently years ago to the podcast, and I still do, I constantly found that I had to take what I could from each episode and figure out how to make it work for a retail business. I started listening to this podcast when my sister and I were growing our brick and mortar store. What I probably learned the most from Being Boss was boundaries, systems, and processes. And I'm so grateful for this because this is what allows me and my sister to each work less than 30 hours per week in our retail business. And all the time I listened, I kept thinking, why don't we have this for retail business owners? And now look at what happened. Number 2 is Keeping Shop, hosted by Rachel Wentworth. And I know a lot of women in the Savvy Shopkeepers community listen to this already, but in case you aren't familiar with it, I thought I'd mention it. Coincidentally, I met Rachel virtually in the Being Boss Facebook group. This was years ago. And the group is now closed and archived, but at the time, I think both Rachel and I felt the gap in online resources for retail business owners. She started Keeping Shop, and I started Savvy Shopkeeper around the same time. I love that Rachel interviews real brick and mortar store owners. It's nice to hear the struggles and success stories of these business owners. Rachel actually interviewed me in episode 21 of her podcast, and I'll link it in the show notes. I was grateful for the opportunity, and I just want to add that Rachel is so kind. If you dream of opening a brick and mortar store, or if you have one, I highly recommend Rachel's podcast. The next one is Business Boutique, hosted by Christy Wright. And Christy Wright's a Dave Ramsey personality, in case you're familiar with Dave Ramsey. Her passion for helping business owners is really strong, particularly helping women identify what they want to do and how to get started. The podcast episodes tend to be a mix of solo segments with Christy, combined with interview segments, and it's just a mix of things. I also want to mention that this podcast has Christian values and refers to the Bible often. Number 4 is Boutique Chat, and this is hosted by Ashley Alderson of the Boutique Hub. This particular podcast is more specifically for the fashion boutique owners, online or brick and mortar. Ashley also combines solo episodes with interviews, and I really enjoy her style, heart, and business savvy. I personally don't own a clothing or fashion-related business, but I find her episodes interesting and helpful. All right, number 5 is Retail Details, hosted by Becky Tyre. On her website, Becky is described as longtime supporter of the Shop Local movement, retail writer, and visual merchandising enthusiast. And this is exactly how I would have described her. Now, Becky and I have communicated via email a few times. We tried to connect in Atlanta in January this year, and it hasn't happened, but I really look forward to meeting her one day. Her support and passion for the Shop Local movement is so strong. You should follow her on Facebook or Instagram for merchandising inspiration too. Retail Details. Look for that. I'm proud to say Doris is the sponsor of this season of the Savvy Shopkeeper Retail Podcast. If you aren't familiar with Doris, they are a premier distributor in the arts and crafts industry. But they are so much more than arts and crafts. They have on-trend home decor items, bridal, garden, gifts, and some great items for creating beautiful store and booth displays. Not only that, Doris has a fantastic blog that includes categories for both makers and brick and mortar businesses. As an independent retail store owner myself, it's really nice to know that we can place a minimum order for only $75. You don't hear that very often. Doris has an exclusive offer for Savvy Shopkeeper listeners. Use promo code SHOP20, that's SHOP20, at checkout for 20% off your order. Offer valid through December 31st, 2020. Visit Doris.com, that's D as in David, ARICE.com, Doris.com, to check out everything they have to offer. Okay, we're halfway through. The next one is Retail Today, and this one's hosted by Bob Phibbs, also known as the Retail Doctor. What I love about this podcast is that each daily episode is around 1 to 2 minutes. Actually, I think they're mostly just 1 minute long. It's a quick and simple daily tidbit for retailers. It's so easy to consume, and all the tips are really good. So I know how busy we are with our schedules. And I know when I started this podcast, lots of you told me to keep it under 30 minutes. So if you're looking for something really short, his podcast is perfect. Okay, number 7 is Retail Initiative, hosted by Josh Orr. Now, this one is relatively new for me, but what I really enjoy about it is that the host is an e-commerce expert. And with omni-channel retail trending, and this topic will come up in one of my episodes soon, it's important that I mention this podcast and Josh's resources because he's knowledgeable about running e-commerce businesses. And I know so many of you talk about launching an e-commerce store, either to complement your brick and mortar store or just as a standalone store. Okay, number 8 is Product Biz Made Easy, and that's hosted by Becky J. Anderson. This is a good one for the makers in our community. Becky grew her own maker business. She made and sold bath and body products into a multi-million-dollar business. So if you want to scale your maker business, this could be a really good podcast for you to listen to. Becky interviewed me in episode 28 of her own podcast, and I'll be sure to link it in the show notes. But we talked about all the ways a maker can market their business outside of social media. I always say that social media is great and it's a great marketing tool, but there are so many other things that you can do to market your business outside of social media. Number 9 is Rise with Rachel Hollis. Now, I'm sharing this one because it may not always be about business. Some of the episodes are, but not all of them are. But many of the episodes are about self-development, and we need this as retail business owners. I love Rachel's passion for self-care and self-improvement, and I feel like I'm talking about her like she's a BFF. But with titles like Stop Caring What Other People Think, How to Face Your Fears, and How to Change Your Life Today, I know we can all benefit from episodes like this. And the last one, but not the least, that's for sure, is How I Built This with Guy Raz. Oh my goodness. Now this one is also new to me, and I have to give a shout out to April Peterson of Pink and Frillos for mentioning this podcast. She mentioned it several times in our Facebook groups, and because I already probably had way too many podcast shows in my app, I wouldn't add this one, and I'm so glad I did recently because I am hooked. It's a national public radio podcast, and the episodes give you a firsthand look into how regular, everyday people like us can and do build multi-million-dollar or even multi-billion-dollar businesses. It's inspiring, it's motivating, it's educational, and I really enjoy Guy's narrating and interview style. He's just really easy to listen to. Now, that wraps it up, and there are other podcasts I listen to. I think I've said this before. I'm definitely a podcast junkie, but I wanted this list to be specifically helpful to retail business owners. So to summarize, I gave you 10 podcasts that could help you both professionally and or personally. And I don't expect anyone to listen to all of them, but I do hope you pick 1 or 2 that could be helpful to you and give them a try. And if they don't work for you, that's cool. It's completely fine. I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned some of these other resources because they can be really, really helpful. If you do give any of them a listen, let me know what you think. As always, you can DM me on Instagram. My username is @SavvyShopkeeper. And if you want to see the show notes where I link all of these, most of them I think I'm linking to their websites because then there's information about their podcast or I'm linking directly to the podcast. It just depends on what I was able to find. But I will have everything linked in the show notes, so you can find that on my blog at savvyshopkeeper.com/episode 18, savvyshopkeeper.com/episode 18. And if you ever listen to one of my own episodes and you feel it could help a friend or someone you know, please share it. And if these episodes have been helpful to you, please take a moment to leave a review. I don't know if everyone listening realizes how valuable and helpful that is to this podcast. But you'll find a link in the show notes to do this too. So until the next episode, be savvy and boss up.